Good morning. Hi, friends. Welcome to this session of Family Story Times on Race and Diversity. Guess what? Today we're talking about diversity because I realize we haven't really talked about it. It's such an important concept. I want to make sure you understand. Do you know what diversity means? Diversity means having a variety of different things, or in our case, people represented. So we're talking about the different kinds of people that we live with, work with, go to school with, play with, socialize with. People of different races and genders and identities and religions and cultures and languages and abilities and disabilities and ages. And there's just so many different ways that people can be different. And so that's what we're talking about today. And it's important because there actually are people in this world who don't like people that are different, who don't like people that are of a different race, or who don't like people who don't speak English, or who practice a different religion. And to be that way is to be prejudiced, and to treat people differently because of their differences is to be discriminatory. And most of the time, people think in those ways because they don't understand the extent to which we're all much more alike than we are different. And the differences make them nervous or uncomfortable or even scared. And that's just not the way we want to be. Because if we can recognize each other's differences and learn about them, and understand and appreciate them, then we can celebrate our differences. And that's the direction that we want to go in. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I keep forgetting to introduce myself. I'm Sira Williams. I'm the children's librarian at the Red Bank Public Library. I'm really glad that you're here today. This program is meant for adults and children, and it's meant to encourage you to have conversations about the things that will come up in the book that I read today and some of the talking points that I throw out to you. Having conversations at home on some of these issues is really important because you're in a safe space when you're at home. You're with people that love you and that trust you and that you trust, and you can ask questions that you might be uncomfortable asking somebody else, and you can get an honest answer. So that's where we're coming from. That's what we want to do because it's okay to notice that people are different. We don't want to ignore our differences. You're going to notice that somebody's in a wheelchair or that somebody's skin is much darker than everybody else wherever you are, or that somebody is wearing clothing that is not traditionally seen where we live, or that somebody's using sign language. Those are okay things to notice and okay things to ask about, because you need to learn about them so that the next time that you see them, they're not a mystery and you're more familiar with them. And if you take the time to meet somebody and get to know somebody who is different in those ways, you'll learn even more, and you'll be able to appreciate those differences and celebrate them together. Because there's just so many different kinds of people in this world, and getting to know and understand that just makes you a more well-rounded person and much more prepared to live in this diverse world that we live in. And I brought for you my globe so we can see our world and see how we fit in it. I think I just made us upside down. Let's find the United States of America. There we are. Here we are. But do you see how little the United States is? It's just that compared to South America, Africa, Asia, and Europe. The United States is not that big, but it's big to us. And look where we are, near New York City. and New Jersey. Just a tiny dot. We're just a tiny dot on this huge planet. That's what I want you to know, that there's so many places to go and people to meet and cultures to experience. And I hope that as you grow up, that you will have an opportunity to travel and explore. You're going to be teachers and scientists and engineers and soldiers and all kinds of things that will give you an opportunity to travel the world. If you can do it, because you'll learn so much, you'll grow so much, and you'll get a much better appreciation for what you have here at home and for what's out there in the big wide world. And that's what we want. So there are differences that we can see, and there are differences among us that we can't see. That's what we're going to read about us in our book. But all the things that make us different is what makes us diverse. And we want to celebrate our diversity. We're going to read this story called Just Ask today. It's written by Sonia Sotomayor and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. And the subtitle is Be Different, Be Brave, Be You. And Sonia Sotomayor, this author, is a very famous person. Have you heard of her? Sotomayor? She's not a movie star. She's not a singer. She's not an athlete. She's not an internet influencer. I'll tell you who she is. She is a justice on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And she was the first Latinx judge to be appointed to the court. And that is so important. And it's important because it represents diversity, what we're talking about today. To have somebody of a different culture and different background represented on the Supreme Court or in any of our institutions, in government, in schools, in the places that we work, is so important, because it means that everybody's experience is represented and that their opinions matter, and it just makes it so much better and richer if we can get the opinions and experiences of so many different people. It makes things more fair for everybody. And so she wrote a letter about being different to her readers. I'm just going to read a little paragraph of it before I read the story, okay? She says, I hope by seeing yourself or your friends in this story, you'll understand that we're all different, and you'll find that notion comforting and empowering. I hope, too, that you'll recognize what we have in common. Instead of fearing our differences or ignoring them, we can shed light on them and explore them together. If you ever wonder why someone's doing something different from other kids, just ask. And she signed it Sonia Sotomayor. And if that was her real autograph, that would be so cool. But it's just printed on a page in a book. But here's the story that she wrote about being different. Let me make sure you can see the pages. Get myself settled here. Okay. She says, hi, I'm Sonia. My friends and I are planning a garden. Gardens are magical places. Thousands of plants bloom together, but every flower, every berry, and every leaf is different. Each has a different smell, different color, different shape, and different purpose. Some flowers need lots of sunlight, and others thrive in shade. Some have to be trimmed regularly, while others are better off left alone. Some trees and flowers are more fragile, and others are more hardy. Kids are all different too. Some of us are in a hurry, and others take more time. Some of us seem shy and quiet, while others are chatty and loud. Some of our differences are easy to spot. Others take longer to notice. Each of us grows in our own way. So if you're curious about other kids, just ask. Not everyone is comfortable answering questions about themselves, but I don't mind. What am I doing? Several times a day, I prick my finger to measure the sugar in my blood, and I give myself shots of medicine called insulin. I do this because I have diabetes, and my body doesn't make insulin naturally like other people's. Even though this can sometimes hurt, I gather all of my courage to do it, to be healthy. Do you ever need to take medicine to be healthy? I do. My name is Rafael and I have asthma, which means I sometimes have trouble breathing. When that happens, I take a break and use an inhaler with medicine to make breathing easier. Quiet time helps me slow down and catch my breath. My inhaler is like a tool to help my body. Do you use a tool to help your body? I'm Anthony and I use a wheelchair to get around. Even though I can't run with my legs, I can go super fast. How do you get from place to place? My name's Madison and my guide dog Lucky helps me get places safely because I'm blind. My friend Arturo is blind too. He uses a cane to get around. Even though we can't see, we strengthen our senses and notice lots of details others may miss. We can hear with our ears, smell with our noses, and feel with our hands. How do you use your senses? I'm VJ and I learn about the world differently because I can see but I can't hear. I'm deaf. Most of the time I communicate with people using my face and hands through sign language. It's cool to know another language. I also love reading and writing. What about you? I'm Bianca and I have dyslexia, so I have to work really hard to take my time when I'm reading and writing words. Sometimes I use computer programs to help me. I love learning by doing things. My imagination is full of ideas and I'm very good at making art from the pictures I see in my mind. Are you really good at something? I'm great at dinosaurs. I know all about them. I'm Jordan and I have autism. Organizing and counting all my toy dinosaurs again and again makes me feel calm. My classmate Tiana also has autism, but it's different for her. She doesn't talk. But I like to talk. I especially like to talk about dinosaurs. What do you like to talk about? Well, for me, listening comes more easily than talking. I'm a really good listener. My name is Ann and I speak with a stutter, so I sometimes repeat a word or get stuck when I try to say it. It may take me a little longer to express myself and sometimes I'm too shy to talk, but I understand everything that's going on. Do you ever wonder if people understand you? I do. My name is Julia. Sometimes I wiggle or make sounds that I can't control because I have Tourette's syndrome. People may look at me funny because they think I'm not paying attention or just acting out. But it's not true. I'm listening. I don't always like having to explain. It frustrates me, but it helps when I tell people that it's just what my body does. Do you ever feel frustrated? My name is Manuel, and I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's also called ADHD. I can get frustrated when I really feel the need to move around, even though I'm supposed to sit still. When my teachers and friends are patient with me, if I forget something or if I get distracted, I can get myself back on track. What's helpful to you? I'm Nolan. It's helpful to me when the food I eat has a clear label that says it's nut-free because I'm allergic to nuts. They can make me so sick that I have to go to the hospital if I ate any, even by accident. So I always tell people about my allergy and ask if any food has nut ingredients. Speaking up keeps me healthy. How do you use your voice? I love to sing and I love to talk. I love to make new friends and be included. I'm Grace. I was born with Down syndrome. Kids like me with Down syndrome have an extra building block called a chromosome in our bodies. We're all different from each other too. I can do almost anything any other kid can do, though learning new things can take some time. One way I learn is to ask questions. What helps you learn? It's me, Sonia, again. I ask questions too. When something seems different or new, I just ask my parents or my teachers, and they help me to understand, especially if my friends don't feel ready to explain. This is what I've learned. Imagine if all the plants in this garden were exactly the same. Like, what if we only could grow peas? That would mean no strawberries or cucumbers or carrots. It might also mean no trees or roses or sunflowers. Just like in our garden, all the ways we are different make our neighborhood, our whole world really, more interesting and fun. And just like all of these plants, each of us has unique powers to share with the world and make it more interesting and richer. What will you do with your powers? The end. Well, that book gave us some things to think about, don't you think? I noticed that this book has illustrations of so many diverse kids. Kids who are Black and white and Asian and Latino. But that's not the kind of diversity that she was talking about in this story, is it? A lot of these kids are different in ways that we can't see. And we've talked about not judging a book by its cover and how that applies to people, that you can't tell what people are going through or what they're like on the inside just by seeing what they look on the outside. So I think it's really important that these kids share their stories with us, because then we can understand what their situation is, what they're going through, and then we don't judge them by some of their behaviors and things that they might say or do. And that's why it's so important to try to understand people and to learn about them. Because when you're in a group where everybody is the same, everybody kind of looks like you, comes from where you come from, it's very comfortable and it's very comforting. Because everybody thinks the same, everybody understands where everybody's coming from, and you don't have to worry about anything. You feel like you just fit in. And that's a good feeling. It is. But when you're different, you just feel different all the time. I don't know how to explain it to you. As a Black person, if I am somewhere where I'm only one, that's very clear to me. I understand that, I know that, I feel that. And I know that you know that because I stand out. And it just affects the way I feel, the way I behave, the way people treat me. And I think that's the same for people who feel different on the inside. Even if they look like they fit in, if a kid is dyslexic and has real trouble reading and writing, then I'm sure they feel different when they're sitting in their classroom with their classmates and the teacher is wanting kids to read and do things in class. It's not a good feeling to feel different. So we want to be inclusive and to bring people into our circle. And I want to show you an illustration of that. Look at this. You see this ball? It's another ball, not the globe, but it's a cool ball. It's tight, and this represents you when you're in a group of people who are just like you. You're close, you're tight, you're cool, you're feeling good. But if you can open up, you can still hold hands, you can still be together, but widen your circle. Make room for other people to join you. Make room for other people to come in. it's going to be so much better and cooler for everybody. Because being inclusive and widening your circle is not just to be nice to the people that are different, it's to benefit you too. Because you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to make new friends, you're going to appreciate the differences that others have, and you're going to want to take their opinions and their experiences into consideration when you make decisions about doing things. You're going to want to make sure that they're treated fairly. And if we all do that, this world is going to be a much, much better place. So I want to give you a challenge. I want you to think about your little corner of the world, where you live, where you go to school, who your friends are, who you socialize with, who you go to work with if you're an adult. Is it a diverse group of people? Do you have friends and acquaintances of people that are not like you? Think about it. If you do, that's fantastic. But then I'll ask you this: how diverse is your group of diverse friends? You can always make that group bigger. And if your group is not diverse at all, then think about what you can do to change that. So I really want you to recognize that we live in a big, diverse world. Even the community that you live in, it may not be very diverse, but there are people around, and you can even communicate with people online so that you get some interaction with people that are different than you. I want you to open your heart, open your mind to meeting new people, set a goal to expand your circle, and make it something that you consciously think about and see where it takes you. I bet it's going to take you to some new friends, and I bet you're going to be better off for it. And I hope that it's something that you'll think about. And while you do, I'm going to leave you with a little peace and love for today, and hope that you stay safe, that you stay well, and that you have a great day. And thanks for coming. I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.